What's going on, guys? Back with some tips and tricks just for you guys, so let's get into it. Alright, so the main thing I want to point out here is always when you're flying away from somewhere, I like to look over my shoulder to see what's going on behind me. This actually helps a lot because it gives me an idea of whether an airplane's coming out or not. I always like to look over my shoulder, whether it's to spot infantry on the ground or to tell me whether a plane's coming out or not. Now this guy, the fighter versus the attack. The big mistake everybody makes in the attack plane is trying to turn and loop away from a fighter. What you should be doing, and this guy makes that mistake, is flying straight, trying to stall, and depending on your gunner, that gives you the advantage to take down the fighter plane. Now see here, you see that little spot? Once again, I look over my shoulder and I see the plane coming out of deployment. Always when you have your back facing the enemy team's deployment, look over your shoulder. So I turn, I loop over, get the height advantage, and I'm behind him. I cannot stress enough, whenever you're flying away from the enemy's deployment, always look over your shoulder before you come back in for another strafe, whether it's repairing or you're coming in for another loop. So here's a perfect example. I come around, I come down. Now you'll notice he's over my left hand shoulder. I go around. He thinks I'm pulled back up. I come around and I'm behind him. Now I know a majority of people are going to say, hang on a second, this guy's in the fighter, and he's in the attack and you're in the fighter. But it does not matter, because let's remember, the attack plane has two guns on it. And that rear seat gunner has a very, very powerful turret on his plane. I fly towards this player that comes towards me, and I loop. I loop in the direction that he's turned away, and now I'm behind him again. Now for some reason, the majority of people that don't have an idea of what's going on, they're not going to continue looping. They're going to loop away from you and they're going to leave you alone. And in my eyes, it's not the best idea to do. So this guy here, I don't understand why people, and I've been seeing this a lot lately, seem to fly upside down and then try to loop away, and it's not the best idea. He stalls, I stall, I get behind him and I take him down. Never ever fly upside down, it does nothing for you. Okay, so now we'll see in this section, I've taken him down and I'm well aware that there's another fighter behind me, sorry, an attack plane. But I try to loop out of the way, he takes my wing out. I'll give it to him. So I head for the roof, I come around, I switch my angle, I continue looping to my right and I pop my flares, because guaranteed, as you can see, infantry is shooting at me, so I've been spotted. Always pop your flares if you want to become off the radar. That'll lose your spot and it will spot them up at the same time. I look over my shoulder to check and I'm all clear. I've lost him. Always look over your shoulder. I cannot stress that enough. Always try to look over your shoulder wherever possible. There's obviously no rear view camera. Now this guy, I fly in first person, because when I'm looping like this, I want to try and land all my shots. And I find that third person's not that great for being more accurate with your shots. Now I look over my shoulder. I've got the height advantage. There goes the fighter. He's flying to my left. Now I'm above him, so I've already got the drop on him now for speed and whatever else. I've got all my angles and the speed. Now I can hear him. He's coming from my right. This gives me time to strafe, drop my trench fighter. Now he's over my left hand shoulder. I come up, I loop, I corkscrew, I change my direction. Now I'm in an opposite turn to him. He's already lost me. Now the main thing is to take note of, he's lost me and he's assumed that the other plane in the air is me. But because I've gone up and looped over my right hand shoulder and switched my angle and come back around, it now gives me a wider view to find him and puts me directly behind him, and that's the end result right there. Always, whenever you're on a map like this, remember that there's a plane that spawns on echo, and it's always essential to look over your shoulder and try and spot what's going on. I cannot stress it enough. Here we see it again, look over the shoulder. Always to check what's going on. Now I'll loop around here, and I'll gain elevation. This is to give me a better idea of what's going on around the map, a broader view. I see that there's an attack plane going for our bomber. Now, because I've got the advantage of him on height, it gives me a chance, while he's coming up, to land all my shots on a different angle. All the angles that I need to land it on him. Now, he's very persistent. This is a big mistake. He's very persistent in taking out that airplane. Me, if something like that happens, I break away immediately. Now, I can see that this is the scissors. Now, scissors will always get you out of it. A scissor, or as it's known as well, as a corkscrew. Notice none of his shots are landing because I corkscrew. I come up, I get elevation, I corkscrew. I corkscrew down to my left, change the angle on a 90, come back up, come up again, switch, and I turn over to my right. He has no option because he's upside down to turn to his right and go down towards the ground. I've got the elevation on him. Big mistake. Now he'll fly upside down, and there's the mistake again. I do not know why people do that, but don't ever do that. He's upside down, he's got a twist, and the only option he has is to go up, and that'll slow his aeroplane down. I've still got the height advantage of him. I come around, and it's game over. It is a major mistake. But like I said, scissors will always get you out of it. If you ever have a plane behind you, scissor, and change your angles. Now on this one, with the bombers, I've found that hitting them where the gunner is the weak spot. You only need to shoot where the gunner is in the rear seat, and that's their weak spot. Now I look over my shoulder once again. Now I don't know if you saw it, but in the bottom left hand corner, my fighter on my team is looping, and you could see for a couple of seconds shots coming across at him. There's another fighter on him. Now this guy's peeled away from him because I've landed shots on him. Now I'm flying in first person because I want to try and land shots. When he's going to turn on my right, I've switched to first. Now I've got the anti-air, and I'll give it to this guy. He's played it smart. He's stalled through those caves, and it stalled him and put him directly behind me, and he's got me. Now I'll give it to him. I've never have thought to do anything like that. But now that we know that's what he does, we're on to him. Always learn from a pilot when you lose to them what they're going to do. Take note of what they do. Now I spot him when I come out, and I try to deter the anti-air, but I do not engage him when I come out because I do not want him to loop. I do not engage that guy because I do not want to take my focus on him. He's gone out to the back of his deployment, and he's going to come back in. Now I loop with this airplane, I gain my elevation, and there he is. He's back into my field of view. Now I stall, and he's in front of me. Now I loop with him, and now this is the thing. All this guy has, once I start landing shots on him, is his cave. He'll try to run back to his cave. Now we know from previously fighting him, that's his mentality. Now I've got a fighter behind me at the same time, but lucky for me, the guy doesn't know what he's doing now. If I was getting shots landed on me, I would generally pull away, pop my flares, and I would head for the ceiling and try to loop and change my direction and switch. Now he's doing very well. He's gaining elevation, and he's coming back down, and he's doing good speed control. But I'm staying on the outside of his loop, and that's a key thing, to stay outside of their loop. I try to land shots and I miss. That was very poor accuracy on my behalf. I should have landed some shots. But now I have an attack plane on me too. Now he's made a mistake. He's pulled out straight. Now I still have a fighter behind me, and for some reason he's not landing any of his shots. Now here we go. He's going to head for the cave. Now he stalls. And I try to follow him, but obviously I've never done that before, so I stall and I hit the ground and I die. Now this plane, I spot him when I come out, and there's all the damage. If you guys didn't know, the underbelly of the plane causes a lot of damage. I've already done at least 20% to his aeroplane. Now he loops. Now I try to stay with him, guys. Now I stay at the same flight path as him and the same height. But if you notice, I'm on the outside of his loop the whole time. On the outside of his loop the whole time. I never stay inside of his loop. Now you see the white lines coming out of his airplane? As you can see, I'm not directly in them. I'm on the outside of his loop. I stay outside. Now as he pulls up, I go to my right a little bit, and that puts me on the outside of his loop. That gains me a bit of an advantage. Now I can't land shots, so I spot him. I want to keep this guy spotted the whole time in case he changes his direction. I can still follow him. And he makes the mistake of heading up onto the hills. Alright, he's down. Now, there's my plane. On my team, he's getting chased by the other fighter. So I come around, I cut my turn, and this is very, very important. Pull up and cut your turn. Now you'll watch. I pull with him, but I go up, I gain elevation. Now this is going to give me speed to catch up to him and get involved into it to try and help my mate out. I come up again, I go down, and I'm above him and I'm outside of his turn. Now if this guy's smart, he'll pull away from the fight, which he does. And he's going to head for the caves. I can already tell he's going to try and head for his caves. Now it all comes down to remembering what this guy does. Now he goes through the caves, I spot him with my flares, I stall. I stall and I stall and I stall. Yes, he lands shots on me, but do not freak out about these things. He stalls, now he hits me. He stalls. Now I can stall all I want. I'll keep stalling, and he'll fall. He's below me already. I've got the height advantage again. There he is. He can't turn to his right because of the hill, to his left, sorry, because of the rocks. He's only got one option, that's to turn to his right. Now he's going to loop. And now, I'm outside of his loop and I'm above him. This is crucial. Always stay outside of their loops. Never stay inside the same loop radius as them. Always try to stay on the outside of their turns. Now he's going to go through the caves again, right? But we've got him this time. Now I know what he's going to do. He stalls. I drop my trench fighter on him. I damage him for 50. I damage his plane for 16. And he's going to try and go through here. Now you notice, at any point in time, he could not shake me. The only thing this guy has is to go through caves. Without the caves there is no shaking me whatsoever. So I spot him, I stay outside of his loops, I stay elevated, and that's the only time I'll ever stall. That's the only time I've ever done. Anyway, hopefully that helped you guys. It's very brief and it's a long video, but I'm hoping that helped you. And yeah. If you need to know anything else, or you want me to do a video on something else, send me a message and I'll happily do it for you.